We're good?
Yeah.
All right. It's that camera. Okay.
It's this one.
That's this
No,
one.
straight ahead.
Let's see if I can master this. Hey, welcome to probably the most unique episode of my podcast so far. I think this is a whole bunch of firsts.
Okay.
First time in yellow and red chairs.
Yeah, definitely.
First time with a guest smoking a cigar.
Oh, really?
Yes, definitely a first. And of course, it's the first time having you on the podcast.
Yes, it's true. First time you probably shot in Delray.
That's true too. We're at a secret location.
Yeah.
This is going to be a lot of fun. So we're going to talk about a live stream that you're not going to want to miss. And we'll tell you more about that in a minute and why we're at a secret location here that hopefully nobody bombs.
Yes, hopefully.
We'll see.
We'll see.
So welcome to the podcast. My guest today is Rich Schefren. So I am excited to talk to you and find out more, not just about the live cast, but what brought you back to our space. Because you came out 2006 with the Internet Business Manifesto, and you were around for a while, and then you kind of disappeared from the scene.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about that, and what made you decide to come back?
Well, what I would say is that I took a bunch of years off, about 5 or 6, and partly that was due to a midlife crisis that was kind of started by me achieving all the goals that I had wanted to achieve and not feeling really fulfilled. So I took a bunch of time off because, it's kind of like, I guess, that famous Steve Jobs commencement address. If you wake up too many days in a row and you look in the mirror and you say, like, if this was my last day, would I want to live it this way? Obviously, any single day, you don't change jobs just for that. But like after enough days. And so I took time off because I really wanted to decide, like, is this what I still wanted to do? Or, is it time to move on to something else? And, I've done a lot of different things, so maybe it was time to move on. And, but unlike all my other times, the problem wasn't the business, it was me. So I had to kind of clean that up. Then after I cleaned that up, then I needed to still decide what I wanted to do, right? When I grew up. And, and so at that time, when I was starting to look out into the world, I still kept a few of my clients. I was never like not working at all. Well, this is content, I guess, so I can say I'm not restricted. So Agora Publishing, who I've worked with for about 15 years, have $1 billion testimonial from. They were having a lot of problems with the platforms, and I decided that, they asked me if I could help. I decided I would. And so that started me working again. Gotcha. And as I started working, I thought the answer would be in AI and in data, because that's really the huge advantage that big tech has. Right. And so my first actual solution, which I proposed several years earlier when they first were having problems, I thought they should start their own direct response network. I believe a gentleman by the name of Matt Gallant is now doing that. But a network for direct response advertisers that have been kicked out of Facebook, or have been kicked out of Google, been kicked out of places, right?
Well, and there's more people than you would believe that are dealing with that. I mean, even small businesses are struggling to keep their Facebook ads accounts and keep things working.
Yeah, and and there's really good reasons for that. Yeah. But and I'll circle right back to that. So as I was looking at it, more and more closely, what I realized really was that all these big tech companies have stopped innovating. They're in a mature stage of their businesses, which is all about really how do you monetize best. And because of that, they're building walled gardens and they're taking back the traffic that was part of the initial agreement that businesses had. Search engines promises is that we're going to scrape your content, we're going to send you visitors. It's not we're going to scrape your content, use it to get people to our site, and then keep them on our site, right? And Facebook. And so as I started looking at that, I realized that the problem was bigger than AI and data. I needed more experts in every field because I'm a strategist and a generalist. I'm not like an expert, mine's wide, not deep. So I realized that the solution that Agora needed was to really have the world's best experts in all these different areas of online marketing so that we could craft a strategy that over time helps us become less and less reliant on big tech, have as many different channels to access our customers and strategies so that we're never reliant on any one platform. And as that started to move forward, it seemed silly to just do it for Agora. So as that started to heat up, they then bought a good portion of my business, brought it into Agora to relaunch.
Right.
And so as I re-enter the market, what I like to do is seize attention for a brief moment in time, so that I did that with all my campaigns when I used to market a lot. And this way, like, remind everyone I exist, remind everyone that I'm here, and also kind of rise above the clutter for a brief period of time to kind of reassert myself, and then I'll fade back into the background at some point, but not as far back into the background as I guess I have in the past.
Well, that's good. I think everybody's thankful for that piece of it. And that's a couple of interesting questions that come up for me as you describe that. Aside from, I see the problem in years ago, my business was very focused on content marketing and blogging. And every time Google would change their algorithms, it got tougher and tougher to actually stay ranked well. And then they came up with all those knowledge panels. And now they're taking our content, and people don't even have to click away from Google to be able to get answers to their questions. How many times do we search and we're like, oh yeah, that's the answer. You don't even click anything because it's right there.
And what I would say is that, like, look, all these services, Facebook and Google, YouTube, I love them as a consumer, right? I totally love them as a consumer. But we trust these companies way more than we should. You know, the Wall Street Journal just released an article last week that said Google claims that they don't adjust their algorithms for their own benefit. Not true. They've been caught. Right, like 50 state attorney generals,
I don't think we're surprised by that.
So they got caught buying all of MasterCard's data, so that if you used a MasterCard, Google knows what you bought, right? Like, and they've
that's creepy.
It's very creepy. And think about what Google knows about you. It knows everything about you. It knows every email if you use Gmail, right? It knows what you watch on video if you use YouTube. It knows the searches that you would never want anyone to know, right? Like, and if you use Chrome, it knows every website you've ever been to. So they know every question you've ever asked, right? Every email you've ever received, every video you've ever watched, and every website you've ever been to. Like, and that's not enough. They're buying a ridiculous amount of data as well.
Well, I mean, even the healthcare stuff they've bought up recently, and like the way they're integrating all of it, they've got so much information about us. It's scary on a personal level. But on a business level, it's one of those things that it really is a don't put all your eggs in one basket, because if you're getting all your traffic from Facebook and you've got Facebook ads that are working, what happens when you wake up one morning, and I know so many people who've had this happen, you got a message on your ads manager, hey, your account is banned or you're suspended. And then there goes all your traffic.
And generally, I was never an inexpensive provider, right, of services. And so people came to me for, generally they were on one side of the barbell or the other side of the barbell, right? Either like they just lost their organic listings in Google and the business was totally reliant on that, or there's some challenge that they haven't been able to solve, which is why they're willing to spend a lot of money for my help. Or things are going so well and they're not sure how to capitalize best, right? So on the negative side, so many times the situation has been caused because of reliance on one channel. Or one method, or one employee, or one thing.
That's a dangerous place to be in when you're building a business and you're relying on your business. You can't put yourself in that situation. And that's, I think a lot of people watching this can probably identify with that feeling of what happens if Google takes me out of the rankings, or what happens if Facebook goes away, if that's where they're getting all their traffic. So you've been looking for solutions to this. What have you come up with?
I've come up with lots of them, but people will have to tune in.
So let's talk about the live stream for a minute.
Let's do it.
We are actually at a private cigar bar at a secret location in Delray Beach, Florida. And Wednesday, just less than 2 days from now, we're going to be going live for, how long is it?
Well, at least 24 hours.
At least 24 hours, At least 24 hours. And you've got something like 42 guests lined up for this.
You would know better than me.
Yes, I know the schedule. Yes, there are like an amazing guest list that you have secured for this. I've never seen all these people in one room together.
I don't think they have been.
I'm pretty sure that this has never been done. This is it's crazy, and we'll put in the show notes for you guys the guest list, and you can see who's going to be here on Wednesday. How are you feeling about the live stream?
I feel fine.
Are you excited?
I'm excited. Generally I don't feel much 48 hours before. I kind of feel a lot 30 minutes before.
30 minutes before. Okay, I'll ask you that question again on Wednesday. I'm excited for it. I know seeing some of the behind the scenes and the types of topics you're about to cover, I think is just going to be mind-blowing for people to realize, because so many of us feel just like we don't have any power. We feel like there's nothing we can do, that Google and Facebook and YouTube are so in control of everything.
Right.
And there actually are ways that you can take back that control and put things in place that scale, that work, that you can depend on.
There's that, and then there's really, it's almost like, as I think about it right now at least, right? There's like 3 different kind of things or steps or phases, right? One is to leverage the best tactics that are working right now, right? So that you don't overspend, you don't contribute more money to their profits than need be, right?
Yes.
Using best, using the tactics that are working right now, right?
Yeah.
Shortcuts, little workarounds that get you like higher conversions and things like that. After that, then it's more about not being reliant on a channel. So it's about moving people from one channel to another, making sure that there's numerous ways that you can contact someone, get them, get them on your email list, put them on your, from your email list, get them to subscribe to your YouTube channel, then move them to Facebook, then move them, you want to move them around. But then, so you're maximizing the performance, you're now moving them from channel to channel, and then I would say another element, and there's probably quite a few more actually as I think about it now, but another element would be to start partnering more, to look for other people in your market. There's no reason why 5 companies or 10 companies should all compete with each other, driving up the price of ads that then they all spend money on. When, at Agora, what we do a lot is we'll do a co-reg deal and we'll split the leads, right? But we'll also be splitting the cost, right? So we just cut our cost per acquisition in half. And so I think when I was really active in the market, like back in 2006 to 2008, affiliates and JVs were like the primary way, right? Then in 2008, when we invented the automated webinar, like I kind of unplugged from that, and we still did a lot of affiliate deals, but it was like one-offs. Like I didn't do any more launches and things like that. And I feel like from 2012 on, the market has gotten away from affiliates and JVs, which is probably a good thing, but probably too much so. So I think it was too much before, but it's too little now. And there's a sweet spot of finding a few companies and other businesses that you can work in lockstep together, so that because you're not pure competitors, and I think that makes a lot of sense. But I don't think I think that what you want to do is you first want to maximize performance, you then want to move them around, you then want to partner more, and there's more steps that people can do, but those are some easy ones that people can get their head around.
Yeah, those are ones no matter where you're at in business, whether you're just getting started or you've been at this for 10 or 15 years, will work for you if you implement them. And I think one thing that you said earlier that I want to make sure everybody caught is learning what's working right now. Because so often we think in business, we got to figure it out. We got to learn all the stuff and go through all the courses. And if you just find the right people to learn from with what's working now and just model what they're doing, you cut down not only your learning curve and the time that you invest, but actually how many mistakes you make, how much money you blow on your ad campaigns or other things, because you can learn from somebody who's already made those mistakes. And it's better to go straight to the source and get what is actually working right now.
Yes, and there's a lot of people who, like, you really have to kind of vet your sources. Like when we went, let's just go back to 2008 for a second. Like when we invented the automated webinar, the show up rate was insane, right? The registration rate was insane. It was
crazy back then.
Right, and the conversion rate was insane. And that was because we were the only ones doing it, right? And then, I taught Russell it and Phil saying it and wrote a report on it, and eventually the word got out, and that's what marketers do. We beat the crap out of anything that works. But the thing is that, especially online, because so many marketers move to things so quickly and jump on the bandwagon, the people that get there early and use the tactic or the strategy at the onset, are the ones that reap the best rewards.
Absolutely.
Right? And we've seen this time and time again with every platform out there, right? You get in early, you kind of rise with it. And it's the same here. So that's something to kind of get your head around.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one thing you said was about vetting source, and I know that's a pretty hot topic right now, especially in the coaching space, because you've got this explosion of brand new coaches who don't have a lot of experience. They bought a course from somebody who says, now you're certified because you bought my course. And then you've got people looking for a business coach who don't actually know what to look for.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to somebody who's looking for, who is the source? Where do I learn what I need to know? What can they measure to know who to trust?
I'd say the safest way is probably the simplest way, which is, I learned it from the other side, right? Like from a marketing standpoint, but it's the same as it relates to finding a coach, really. There's really kind of 3 levels of proof. There's proof that the person themselves can do it, has done it, right? So whoever's coaching you should have already achieved that result. Not that there aren't coaches that are great that never achieve the result, but if we're looking for ways to make sure that your coach is a good coach, it's a good qualification. That's not to say that there aren't some good coaches out there who haven't done it, who are just great coaches, but they're few and far between.
They are.
So first, have they done it, right? Like, so this is not someone in a coaching, floor of a building that has never done it and is walking you through like a preconceived syllabus, and because you could create that on your own, right? Even though those generally tend to be some of the highest priced coaching programs because they have such good salespeople. So first, have they done it? Because if they haven't done it, not the person who created the methodology and this other person is going to teach you it,
the person
but
you are
the person that you're interacting with, did they do it? Then the next thing is, have they taught others to do it? Because it's one thing to do it for yourself, but if you can't, just because I know a lot of people who are great marketers, but it's intuitive, right? They can't teach it.
They don't know how to explain why they succeeded with something.
They're just naturally good at it. So have they taught anyone else to do it, right? And then the third level would be, have they taught people that you feel you're in a better situation than they are, right? And so I would say, like, if you use those 3 levels of proof, that's probably the best way. And then also, I would look at your friends, see, like talk to friends. Like if there's a friend that has, I wouldn't ask all friends. I would ask the friends that have had like a great leap or some level of success. I mean, one of the reasons why the manifesto worked so well was just that, I had lots of proof in it, and I had lots of like testimonials and case studies. But in addition to that, there were enough people that were mentioned in the manifesto where the readers had witnessed their rise, right? So it wasn't only like a testimonial; it was, I saw
this person
right?
succeed. Well, that's how I found you. That's how I found the manifesto, was people that I was following at the time. I started asking everybody who I saw successful, like, who are you learning from? What are you reading? What are you studying? And so much of it pointed back to you. I eventually read the manifesto, and my mind was blown because I had never thought about that particular approach in business, and I was like shiny object syndrome.
And so like it's unfortunate, but that's something just as a passing tip, right? That, so cream rises to the top, right? And so I've coached a lot of people, and a lot of those people are well known. And so there's a small percent, but it's smaller than I would have thought, that find, like where the knowledge came from. They're like on their own little treasure hunt, and they're going to figure it out. And as I have done, right? From Jay Abraham to Clayton Makepeace to these legends of John Carlton, these legends of direct response who I became friendly with, and as we were friends, and I would ask, like, where did you learn it from, right? Always trying to track down that source. And so that's something that at the end of the day, you should always be thinking about, like, where did this person learn from? Not because necessarily the person that they learned from was better than them, because that's not necessarily the case, right? If you want to build a funnel, even though Russell might have learned some things from me, you're better off getting advice from Russell, right? If client acquisition, you're better off talking to Todd, right? Like, because they're in the trenches.
Comes down to what their focus is.
Yeah. So, but for coaches, right? Like, the following that knowledge lets you know who are like the impactful people. Yeah. In addition to that, someone who's probably not comfortable telling you where they learned from is probably someone who is parroting too much, right? So it's a good. I'm fine telling people where I've learned from, right? Yeah. Jay Abraham, Clayton Makepeace, John Carlton, Dan Kennedy, all these people I've learned from. I teach something different, but definitely been influenced by all those people in a very large amount. Yeah.
Well, I think it's a red flag when somebody's either not willing to share the sources, means either they are taking maybe a little bit more from it than they should, or they're not actually continuing to stay up to date in their field. They're not actually doing the homework, doing the research, and continuing to study and learn. I like to find people who will share, hey, this is the book I'm reading, this is the course I just went through, this is the event I went to, because they know they're staying current in their field. And that's helpful to me when I'm looking for somebody, because I want somebody who knows what's working right now. Not, hey, this worked 20 years ago, so I'm going to teach this to everybody, and of course it doesn't work today with the internet. So I think that's a really important thing to look for.
And most people don't know what's working right now. They know what used to work.
Yes, that is incredibly true. I see so many courses, especially around blogging and content marketing, they're teaching stuff that, it absolutely worked in 2010. It doesn't work today.
Right.
And people have been surprised. I've sent out emails before. I sent out one where I sent out this big apology. I was like, I taught you something. It doesn't work anymore. Here's what you should do instead. And they were surprised I admitted it. But I was like, if it's not working now, I'm not going to keep teaching it.
Yeah, things change.
Yeah, things absolutely change.
Especially online.
Yes, they change quickly online. And I think that's one of the cool things to me about the live stream is that you've got guys in the room who they're not, hey, I have this business, I built it up 10 years ago, and then now I'm doing something totally different, but I'm going to teach you this. They're teaching and sharing what they're doing right now.
Exactly. And, it's like Jay Abraham used to have this habit. He doesn't have this habit now. It goes in and out. But whenever he called people, he, instead of saying, like, what's up, right, like, hey, what's up, instead it's like, hey, what's working?
That's great.
And whether it's working for you or if you know anybody else has got something working, right? So that's Jay probably talks to 30 or 40 people a day, and he's doing that. When he's in that zone, he's doing, that's what he wants to know, what's working right now, right?
It's a great question.
Yeah, which is different than what was working yesterday.
Yes, it does change quickly, and it can feel really overwhelming sometimes to keep up with for a lot of business owners because they're wearing all these hats and doing so many different things in their business.
It's not hard when you know the right people to listen to.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the filters you shared of how to figure out who are those people to listen to. Yeah, absolutely. So question I ask everybody on the podcast is, no, it's an easy question. Okay. Easy question. What's your favorite thing about your business and where it's at right now?
Well, the business is being rebirthed, right? Yeah. So I'm not going to talk about, I'm going to change the question a little bit to just what is most exciting to me about the business in general. And what I came to the conclusion of, or decided, or used my imagination for, was, one time I'm writing in my journal how much I enjoy, like, meeting the people I get to meet, like working with the people I get to work with, and pursue basically anything that I want to pursue. And so that's amazing, and there's tremendous freedom in that. The cost of that is that I have to simplify it. I have to connect it to making more money, growing a business, because in general, the stuff I'm interested in is not being kind of positioned as that, right? It's more complicated, right? Like theory of constraints.
Right.
But I get the luxury of being able to get paid a lot of money to learn theory of constraints and teach theory of constraints, right? The price of admission is my willingness to think hard enough about it to think about how I'm going to simplify it, how am I going to market it, and how am I going to connect it to my clients and prospects making more money. That's the price I have to pay to have the freedom to pursue whatever I want to pursue, right? So anytime I get upset, because sometimes it's frustrating to have to simplify stuff, right? Like, why can't people just understand this? But then the other part of my head is like, well, if they understood this, then what role are you playing in this equation? Because you're not necessary, right? Yes. Like, so you don't want to dream too much that it's easy, because if it's too easy, then you're not necessary. Yeah. I know we're going to shoot another video a little later on, like, but for one thing, for people who want to be coaches, just to include here, is that you have to think really long and hard about what problem are you best out there to solve, because ultimately, and you might start really, really small. It might be one small thing that you can put like a stake in the ground and kind of claim as your thing, like you're the best solution for. Because at the end of the day, if you're not the best solution for a specific thing, then what are you ultimately hoping for? You're hoping to find enough stupid people to choose you over what is the best option.
That doesn't seem like a good business plan.
No, it's not a good business strategy. Like, we're just going to find all the stupid people in the market to buy from us. So you really have to niche down small enough so that you really are the best option. And that might be small in the beginning, right? Like, but and this might be an unpopular belief. I don't even know where you stand on this, but like, at the current place where each individual is, they might be in a place where like they have a message to share, or they might not. Like, I don't buy into the Brendan Burchard, like everyone has a message to share. Okay. I think everyone has a message to share, but a lot of those messages are not ready for prime time, and they're not ready for paying customers. So like, are you really the best choice for the price point, for the outcome, for the service, for something? So that like, you really can be passionate and assertive about what it is you're offering, because you feel like at the end of the day, they would be much worse off without you.
Yes.
So
I wasn't sure I was going to agree with you there for a minute, because I do think everybody has something to share. But what I do agree with is, just because you have a message to share doesn't mean you have a problem to solve that people will pay you to solve. Those are very different things. Having a message doesn't mean you have a viable business. Right. And so when you're looking at building a business, you do have to figure out, what is the problem I'm solving for people that I am the best at? Because one of the things I see a lot of times with clients is they've got something they're offering, but they're not confident in selling it. They're afraid to actually have sales conversations and put out messaging around it. And when you get right down to it, it's usually because you don't know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are the best at solving that problem, and you're not able to confidently make that claim when you're on the phone with somebody or when you're in conversation and say, I know I can solve this problem for you, and I know I can solve it better than anybody else you could talk to. Right. Yeah, that makes a huge difference.
And you might not be right. There might be others, right? But as long as you believe it and you're not delusional.
Well, yes. Don't say that delusionally. Well, and that goes back to what you said about looking at whether somebody is actually the right person to work with when it comes to coaches and consultants. Is, do they have that track record? And have you built that track record up for yourself, where you can look at your case studies, you can look at your clients and say, I am confident that I can solve this problem and get you the result that you're after.
That, and I would add just one other thing that I didn't say. It's not always possible, but to find a match in, like, I don't think it's personality, but certainly like method of work, like work approach, there are very different strategies, right? I'm not that organized. I'm not like, Mr. Detail. And I'm also not Mr. Discipline and like, all these kinds of things. And so I'm going to be a better coach to someone who's more like me. Right? And if you're very disciplined, you're gonna I'm not your coach.
Gonna mesh well. No, that's a great point, because I think sometimes we get in this mode where we want to say yes to anybody who's willing to give us a credit card, and that is the wrong approach to take in your business, because you end up with people who aren't a good fit, who stress you out, you stress them out, and they don't get a result.
Both ways, right? Yes. But also as a customer, accept who you are and find someone who is like you, who has achieved that success, right?
Yes,
as opposed to someone who's achieved
path.
it in a very different way than you have.
I have experienced that where I've worked with coaches that I got a few months in and realized I can't achieve success the same way they did because I'm not wired that way. There are certain things that I would have to work so hard on my weaknesses that it wouldn't be worth it to actually put that much time into it when I could focus on my strengths instead and get to a result faster.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is a really great piece of advice. I hope you wrote that down wherever you are listening or watching this right now. Really take that to heart and look at who are you learning from. Not only have they achieved what you're looking to achieve, have they coached others to achieve that, but have they done it in a way that fits who you are, what your personality, what your approach is, so that you can replicate that success.
Yeah, would you be comfortable doing what they did to achieve success?
Yes, that is. That's an awesome piece of advice, and I think a great point to kind of end on and segue into another interview here.
All right, well, it was nice meeting the podcast audience.
Absolutely. I'm excited to share this. And guys, make sure you grab your ticket to the live stream. Yeah, there'll be a link right below the video or near wherever you are watching or listening to this. I promise you, you do not want to miss it. It will absolutely be worth your time. Go ahead and get your coffee ready now, your PJs, note paper, whatever you need.
Invite
there
some
you go.
over.
Have a couple of friends over. Join us. We will have live chat on the page. I will be in there to say hello. And you will walk away with more than you can imagine that will help you to make this year the best year in your business. One other thing I want to say, when you grab your ticket and opt in, you're going to see an offer for VIP, VIP Plus. Make sure you grab one of those because what's on the next page is one of the most unique things I have ever seen in, I'm going to date myself, more than 20 years of business online. You don't want to miss that and be able to see exactly what he's put together on that page. So make sure you grab your ticket, get VIP or VIP Plus, and check out what is on the next page. All right?
Now, wait a sec.
Oh.
So that thing that they're going to see has got a conversion rate of 75%, which is very insane.
Crazy.
But the next video that we're going to shoot, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that a bonus?
It is. If you want to talk about that, we can.
You should talk about it because it's your bonus.
All right.
Right.
So if you grab what you see on that second page, it's called a mystery box. You will know you're on the right page when you see Rich holding a box that's got a question mark on it. Make sure you watch that whole video, and as with anything, watch it not just for the content, but the context. Learn from what he's sharing and how he shares it in that video, and be thinking, not just what is he saying, but how can I apply this concept in my own business, in my own funnels, and in what I'm doing, because there's some really important things in that video. If you grab that mystery box, I will put some info below this video or wherever you're listening to the podcast of how you can get access to a super secret bonus interview that Rich and I are about to record in just a minute. And I'll put some details below this video as well about that interview. Do we want to tell them what we're going to talk about?
Well, that's up to you. All I did was save all my best stuff for that interview. You told me not to, and so she didn't really. But I did save most of my best stuff for that. So.
Ooh, awesome. There will be notes below this video about that. All you'll have to do is forward me a copy of your receipt for the mystery box, and I will give you access to that video.
Hot take your dog. We're good.
So we will see you hopefully back for the bonus video right after this. Thank you for tuning into the podcast today. Hit like, rate, review, subscribe, and I will see you back in the next episode.
Cheers.
Awesome.